And I was so happy that somebody was interested in me. I was so happy that somebody loved me, not understanding that the one that loved me was my Father up in heaven. I was so focused on this fine guy that drove a Mercedes-Benz, a nurse, a man that was, oh my God, in the standards of the world. He was a mighty man. And I was so happy that he was interested in little old me. And guess what came into my heart? An adulterous situation. And let me tell you, my brothers and sisters, I went out with this man. And I'm not going to make a long story. I'm not going to elaborate it. I'm going to make it very short. Hallelujah. We went out 3 times. And the 3 times I would try to be intimate, this man, he started crying. I know, I make people cry. I don't know why. Now I got undressed and he cried. And I couldn't understand. So the 3rd time, you know how they say the 3rd time is a charmer? So the 3rd time, the same thing. Got undressed, he started crying. And I looked at him and I said, my brother, I know I'm chubby. But I never brought tears to nobody's eyes. What's up with you? I said, listen, I got a husband at home that don't want to touch me. He don't want nothing to do with me. So let me tell you something, my brother. We got to end this now. Because every time we try 3 times and 3 times you get sick and you cry. So what? I'm not going to try to do nothing with you. I'm not going to try to push the issue. It's time to go. Let's get dressed and let's go. And we left. And that was it. He didn't beat me no more. Nothing. And I was okay. I was starting to be content with my life. And I started moving around my life, doing what I needed to do and not even think about that. I didn't care whether my husband was there or not there. Or it didn't matter to me. Until 6 months later, the beep again. And I'm like, oh my, is this guy crazy? Why are you calling me now? And it just kept on and kept on and kept on. And I called him. I said, yo, what's going on? Why you keep beeping me 911, 911? What's the emergency? I got to talk to you. And I said, okay. So anyway, we met. He worked that night in the hospital. So we met in the hospital at about 12 midnight. And let me tell you, since I was little, I had God had blessed me with visions. And let me tell you something, when God gives you a gift, those gifts are irrevocable. They stay with you. Even if you backslide, no matter what you do, those gifts are yours. Even if you put them on a shelf and you don't use them, those gifts are yours. And when I parked the car, it was a snowy day, it was cold as heck. I see him coming, but as I saw him coming, I didn't see him. I saw a skeleton in a bomber jacket. And I thought to myself, oh my God, I think I'm in trouble. And he came to me. And I looked at him and I said, hey, what's up? He came in the car. And I looked at him and I started crying because I knew something was wrong. So I said, what's going on? He said, no, I needed to talk to you. It's an emergency. And I said, what's the emergency? He said, we try to be intimate, and although we did the actual act, we did do some things that, and I'm like, yo, just spit it out. What's going on? He said, I just found out that I'm HIV positive. He said, and I need you to get tested. And when he said that, my heart, talk about a heart skip a beat. Child, my heart skipped a couple of beats. And I remember looking at him and I said, what do you mean you just found out? He said, I just found out. He said, my wife had an affair and she infected me with AIDS. And I looked at him and I said, oh my God. Anyway, I just put my head down and he left my car and he said, you need to get tested no matter what. And I said, all right. And I remember that he left and I saw him walking and I started crying in my car. And I remember a verse that my grandmother taught me when I was a little girl. And that verse was, the wages of sin is death. And I started thinking and I started crying in my car all by myself on a snowy day. And I said, Lord, I'm sorry, Lord. I'm sorry because I didn't heed your word, Lord. And Lord, I'm sorry. I said, Lord, even though my husband is not a nice man and he treats me, he mistreats me and he beats me and he has broken my spirit. But he doesn't deserve for me to tell him that I got it. I said, Lord, if you could do anything for me, God. And I remember that I turned the radio on and a song came out, this Spanish song. And it says, Lord, how many times I failed you, Lord. And I started praying in my car and I said, Lord, since the age of 5, you said that you had a calling in my life. And I understand that the wages of sin is death, Lord, and I understand that I've done everything wrong. But I promise you, Lord, if you release me from this, Lord, I'm going to serve you. And then I said, you know what, God, I changed my mind. I'm going to serve you regardless. I said, Lord, thank you, sister. I said, Lord, whether I have AIDS or whether I don't have AIDS, I'm going to serve you. But just protect my children, Lord. Protect my children, Lord, and protect my heart when I tell people what's wrong with me. Because the enemy had already told me that I was sick. I tried to commit suicide. I thought about different ways of killing myself. Because I was afraid of what people was going to say, what my children was going to say, what my grandchild was going to say, or what my husband was going to do. Well, I thought my husband was going to literally kill me if he found out. So I figured I'll help him. Let me kill myself. But let me tell you what I did. I just went into my room when I got home and I kneeled down and I said, Lord, forgive me. And I remember my daughter walked into the room and she looked at me. She said, Mommy, why are you crying? And I just hugged on her and said, sorry. Because even though I was serving the Lord, I was still in church, kind of like dip-dabbing here and there. That's why I'm telling you, you need to be good Christians, good women of God. You can't dabble here, you can't be here and there. You can't serve two masters. You got to make a decision. You got to either serve God, the great I am, or serve the devil. You got to know that you're going to hell or you're going to heaven. You can't do two things at one time. It's impossible to